welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hi, this is Syosset Library's Turn the Page podcast. My name is Jessikah, and I'm here with my co-host with his debut podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm new to Turn the Page. My name is David.
We welcome you, and we are really excited to welcome Nephew, who is here representing Atlas Games, which both David and I are huge fans of. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi there. It's good to be here, Jessikah, David.
It's good to have you. So first of all, we at the library lend out a lot of tabletop and board games,
Right.
and we are forever indebted to all the work that you put into making like just unique experiences with these games. Can you tell us a little bit about Atlas Games yourself?
Yeah. So Atlas Games, my husband started Atlas Games way back in 1990. He was actually in college at the time. And so then I married into it in about 2000. So he's been Atlas Games for 35 years, and I've been Atlas Games for 25 years. I can never catch up to him, unfortunately. We are in Duluth, Minnesota, so that's right at the tip of Lake Superior. And it's a family business, so John handles the business side of things, and I do production mostly.
We're very appreciative of a lot of the games that we have from Atlas Games. In fact, we have Magical Kitties Save the Day is currently on loan. And we also know that you just had a successful Kickstarter for Magical Kitties, Meowtropolis.
Yeah.
So where did the impetus for that game come from as a starter game, an introduction game for role-playing?
So that comes from the fact that John and I, in fact, have some kids. We have 3 kids who are now in high school and middle school, but at the time that we published the game, they were in elementary school. And we had actually met the designer, Matthew Hansen, at a local game convention. So that's kind of the north in the Twin Cities. And he was GMing this game, Magical Kitty Save the Day. And I think it was like 2 different years that we ended up playing with him until I finally said, where do I buy this game? Because it's really excellent. And he's like, oh, it's nothing. It's just a homebrew that I did myself. It's not actually for sale anywhere. Or at least not physically. I think he had a PDF. And so he gave me the PDF. And my kids and I started a Magical Kitties game campaign. And that thing lasted, oh my gosh, it must have been at least 4 or 5 years. And our first Kickstarter for it, we had a video that showed like my entire binder full of all of our character sheets and all of the maps and things we'd made for this campaign. It was just excellent. They loved it so much. And then we ended up publishing it after it had already won my entire family over. It's an excellent game. One of the reasons I like it so much is because it really does let kids GM. It is not D&D light. D&D, not only is the game system overwhelming, it's also got so many inappropriate themes for small kids. You just can't get around the wandering around, killing things and taking their stuff. I mean, that is core to D&D. But in Magical Kitties, nobody dies. The worst you can do is get knocked unconscious or something like that. But most of the time, there's a way to get out of any situation without any kind of combat at all. And that's the kind of thing I wanted to be teaching my kids at the time and still do. So it's just been excellent. And now we're talking about doing an open license for Magical Kitties, actually. It hasn't been announced officially yet, but we've gotten the okay from Matthew Hansen, the designer, and are working on a big launch for that. Because wouldn't it be excellent to let actual people who are so thrilled about this game for their own kids be able to put their adventures and things online where other people can enjoy them too. So that's pretty exciting for us.
So that actually leads me to wanting to know a little bit about the library partnership program.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it was very funny because you reached out to us, and it was
Right.
shortly after David had started at Syosset Library. And we were talking about the library things, and I knew that he was a gamer. And
I had made a whole
Yeah.
list of games, and several of yours were on the list,
yeah,
including Magical Kitties and
That's
Gloom.
good to hear.
yeah. And it was funny because then he came in and I was like, oh, speaking of those games, did you know that Atlas Games has this library partnership? Because I didn't until I got that
Yeah.
email. So could you please tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the basics of it is that we've always given individual games to libraries for specific events. It's just general event support because we not only support events in game stores but also other venues too. But this last few months we did a new push, and that was putting together a package of 4 or 5 really solid games of ours that are not just the things we want to get rid of. They're actually the games that are good sellers. Like we're sending out Gloom and Magical Kitties Save the Day and things like that that are really our best sellers, and sending those out to those libraries that we know are doing game libraries that they're lending out. So when I was in high school, actually, I was a page at our local library. And then in college, I worked at our college library as well as my work study. And now I've got these 3 kids who are like serious readers, and I could not have kept up with them if it were not for our local public library. So I've always been a big library patron, and seeing how the libraries now have been just in the last 5-10 years have started putting together these lending game collections. I knew darn well that there was no way that anybody had money for any games. So we put together this package, and then not only will we send it out to the library who requests it, but also you then get 50% off after that to buy any other of our products that you want as well. So it's our way of it's a two-way street. I mean, not only are we supplying you with free games, but you're giving us your audience, right? You're introducing our games to your patrons who may not have ever seen them before. So it works really well both ways, and we've been really happy with the response.
Speaking of your products, what can you tell us about the replay workshop?
Yeah, so Replay Workshop, for those of you who don't know, it's our line of 100% recycled plastic gaming accessories. And we know it's 100% recycled because we actually take things like lawn chairs and sleds and kiddie pools from our local dump, divert it from landfill, and shred them up ourselves in the building that we bought for this effort to make shredded plastic. And then we partner with a printer who's local to us as well, just an hour or so away from us, called Updog. And they have the big presses that will form them into whatever game bits that we want to make. So there's a bunch of different parts to this. The first one is that we got a grant of $100,000 from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency for developing this project, and so we couldn't have done it without that support. But we're also working with the Western Lake Superior Sanitary District, who is in control of our local landfill, and they actually will pull those sleds and lawn furniture and things aside for us, and put them all together in a thing, so we're not actually having to comb through waste stuff ourselves. And then there's also, and so we sell that shred then just to crafters, like people who would use a makerspace, who are looking for injection molding material. But then we also use it to make these other game accessories in our Replay Workshop line. And those are things like, we have terrain tiles that are like, you would use it for miniatures, for making pavers, in a courtyard or in a castle. We have movement trays for minis for tactical games. We have miniatures bases. We have dice. All of these things are 100% recycled plastic that we actually shredded ourselves. So it's been quite a journey because it's actually a lot harder to make dice than you think it is. And so we've learned a lot, and we're really proud of that work that we've put into making this closed circuit. Another part of it also was that we realized that there was a need for sprues recycling in our industry. So sprues are those little things that are attached to miniatures and like model kits and things that you would get at like Hobbytown or something like that. And you have to pop them off to use your kit. And so people who are doing a lot of wargaming and putting together armies and things like that have boxes and boxes of these plastic sprues. So what we've also done is partner with the local game stores within a radius of us here in Duluth, and they have collection bins out now, and they will take the sprues that any of their customers bring in, and they will let us know when they've got a full box, and we come pick them up. And so that is pretty excellent because then you have this circular ecology of the sprues getting collected and brought back to us and shredded up to be used in new game products. And I think that is just excellent. And, with all the environmental issues in the world today, you just kind of have to do what you can, wherever you can, as much as you can. And this is something that we saw that we could do. And so it's our effort to make the world a better place. And so I'm just super thrilled and proud of that effort, actually.
I'm curious, could you tell us about the variety of games that you curate, and how you come to publish something? Like you explained how you came to publish Magical Kitties.
Yeah.
But what about some of the other games? I know it's not you have everything from card games to role-playing games.
Yeah. So we publish card games and board games and role-playing games. It's kind of diverse. Like a lot of other game companies our side, we're not large. We're very much a small family business. We have the most employees we've ever had is 10 of us, including John and myself. But for a company our size, we really have made an effort to try and diversify with the card games and the board games and the RPGs. And now we're moving into the miniatures accessories with Replay Workshop. So a thing that I look at, because I'm in charge of production, and a thing I look at when I'm looking at a new game to publish is a thing that I call the Atlas edginess factor. And so Atlas Games is not just, we have to have something that's going to sell itself. We don't have a huge marketing budget. And so we're not going to be taking out ads in large magazines or websites and things like that. And so it's got to have some kind of an edginess, some kind of a draw that grabs people's attention and will sell itself, basically. It's kind of eclectic stuff. It's stuff that I would like to play. And so in recent years, it's been things like Gloom that actually appeals more to women as an audience. Gloom I love because it's competitive, but you're actually cheering up the other people's families, the other players' families, and killing off your own, for example. So it's that flip. It's a reversal of what you would expect in a competitive card game. And it also has to do with what I want to play. Because I own the business, I basically have to ask myself, do I really want to demo this game for the rest of my life? Because that is what it means when I publish a game, is that every game convention we go to, I'm going to be demoing that game. And so it really is a matter of, not only is it a good game, but is it one that I personally feel compelled and interested in to that kind of extent. So we've got a bunch of them. Like our best sellers are Gloom, which is a transparent card game that I talked about a little bit. Once Upon a Time is a storytelling card game that's been used by teachers for English as a second language even. Dice Miner is a dice game. And then like Ars Magica Definitive Edition was Ars Magica was what Atlas Games was created to publish. John originally wanted to publish supplements for Ars Magica, and we just finished up the production work on the Ars Magica Definitive Edition book, which made $800,000 on Kickstarter about a year or so ago. That was incredible. That was our biggest Kickstarter ever. And I don't know, it was an amazing moment where the entire fan community that we've been working for 35 years suddenly came together and said, "We love you." And it felt like a huge, big hug because, we spent so many years making Ars Magica supplements in our tiny little office space month after month with not a lot to show for it except just, the joy of supporting the game that we love. And I don't know, that kind of response makes it all worth it after all this time.
You guys have an amazing pedigree of games. Ars Magica, of course, from Mark Reinhagen, who's probably really well known for Vampire the Masquerade.
That's right.
Keith Baker of Gloom and Eberron. So as someone who works in the gaming industry, what got you interested in games and gaming?
Yeah, so I came in as a fan of role playing. In high school, actually, I had some friends who went to the local college, and they joined the gaming club at the college. And so, ever since high school, I'd been surrounded by friends who were into role playing in particular. And so, I was actually a gamer before I ever met my husband. And in fact, I would argue that I'm a much bigger gamer than he is. In fact, I am the one who sits down with our kids and plays the board games and the card games. And when we sit down for a role playing game, I'm the one who's min maxing my character, which annoys him no end when I come up with some great combo that he hadn't thought of. And so really, it's how I got interested in gaming is because I'm a gamer. And I've never stopped being a gamer. And now I have 3 gamer kids because, it's, if not hereditary, at least it runs in families. And so definitely that's the thing is it's not something I came into because of it being my business. I came into it because it's really one of my biggest joys in life, in fact.
So of all the wonderful games that you at Atlas Games publish, what are some of your favorites?
Oh, that's you know what? I love that you asked which are my favorite games because it's much like somebody asks you what's your favorite book. And I'm like, well, there's many favorite books, or like, which one is your favorite child is the one I like to compare that to. Really, I can't decide between many of my favorites, but I did mention Gloom already, and I mentioned Magical Kitties. Catstronauts is a newer one that we just published. And you guys might know that because a lot of libraries actually carry the comic book by Drew Brockington. And we discovered that comic book series at our local library as well. And so he is the artist and the author of that series, and he is also the game designer of Catstronauts. So we've been enjoying that one a lot lately. My perennial, one of my best favorites is Once Upon a Time. And I mentioned that just briefly because it has been used in things like English as a second language classes, but that's actually the one that John tried to sell me when he first met me at a game convention. And so I have a PhD in English. And so he heard I was an English major and immediately pulled out Once Upon a Time and tried to sell it to me. Unfortunately, I was poor in grad school and could not actually buy the game. But now I own many thousands of them. And so that makes me happy when I think about it.
It's funny because Once Upon a Time was actually the first Atlas game that I ever played.
Yeah, it's a good entry.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really good one.
And for fans who don't know,
That was
it's
one of
a
the ones on my
storytelling
list.
card game. So it's where you have all the elements of a fairy tale on your cards, like a crown or a princess or a dragon. And you use the cards in your hand to tell the story out loud. And it's collaborative. So somebody can take the story from you and continue the same story with their cards. And that's one of the things that really appealed to me, is that it's you can take the story from someone, and so there is a way to win the game, but it's fundamentally collaborative in that you're making your own story. And so that is, as an English major, that is the big thing that appealed to me on that one.
Well, this was awesome. This was a lot of fun. Do you have anything you want to say otherwise?
I just want to thank you guys for your partnership again, and the fact that you guys work so hard for very little pay to serve your communities as a public library, and I really appreciate that, and I know that so many of your patrons do as well. So thank you very much for all your work.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So once again, this was Jessica with Syosset Libraries Turn the Page podcast. My co-host was
David, also Syosset's Turn the Page podcast.
And our guest was Michelle Nephew. Thank you so much. Representing Atlas Games. Check them out. Actually, we've both enjoyed looking at the website and seeing that everybody has a gloom persona on the website, by the way.
Very Edward Gorey. Love the art.
Yes.
Yeah, one of our staff members drew those. It's excellent. So yes, come visit our website and see our headshots of us as gloom characters.
And if you're a librarian, or if you frequent a library and you'd like them to start carrying board games, please reach out about the board game partnership, because not only it's nice to get the free games, but the 50% off discount is good. And then you can play them at your library, and if you like them, you know where to find Atlas Games.
Yeah, it's excellent. And so please come to our contact page on our website. It's atlas-games.com/contact. And there is a helpful form for you to fill out to ask us for that package.
All right. Thank you very much. We are going to close this chapter of Turn the Page.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.